Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Great British Mickey Waffle. I'm your host Ben, and today we've got a fantastic show lined up for you. As always, we're here to sprinkle a little bit of Disney magic into your day. But this time we'll be sharing some of the other parts of Orlando that you should explore on your next holiday.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go! Joining me today is somebody who is really overdue for a trip back to Orlando, which I know is fast approaching this summer. I'd like to welcome in John. Hi John, how are you?
I'm very well, Ben. It's actually the penny kind of, every time somebody says that to me, the penny drops more and more. And I'm suddenly becoming aware that this summer is going to be upon me and the trip is going to be upon me so soon. And I've actually done very little planning. And and as someone who does enjoy to plan, this could be quite an intriguing next sort of couple of months worth of. I need to get as much planned as possible. So I'm actually really pleased we've got a special guest for the show for this mid-month, because actually I'm pretty sure he could prove to be rather a fruitful help, I must admit.
John, I've just got visions of like you getting a notification on your phone saying that your check-in for the airport is open, and it's like then your bags aren't packed.
It wouldn't be the first.
And it's that last minute.
That wouldn't be the first time, but
yeah. And to make this show even more special, we do have a very special guest with us, Russ from Orlando Adventures podcast. Russ, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to come and be on the show. So thank you so much, and looking forward to talking about all things Orlando.
Yeah, we love a bit of Orlando, but before we dive into our main topic, we've got a little tradition here at the Great British Mickey Waffle that we'd like to share. It's time for our infamous Carousel of Questions. It's generally a quick fire round, but previous shows have shown that sometimes it's not as quick fire as we originally planned. So it's time to get a bit to know more about you.
Yeah,
so are you ready to take a spin?
Certainly am. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So your first question, what is your favourite park?
Favourite park? Is this Disney? Is this any park? Where are we going?
Let's make it all for you.
Open to Orlando.
Let's make it Orlando based, because that'll make it. I think but it'll add an extra layer of controversy to it all.
Yeah, I don't want to upset anyone.
Oh no, it doesn't matter. Just upset everybody.
As long as you don't say Gatorland, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, no, we don't get there. No, I to be honest, it's a fairly easy one for myself. It's Islands of Adventure. It has to be. And to be honest, I'll to give you a reason that for myself, there's so many rides that I love going on that it kind of ticks every box for me. Don't get me wrong, there's stuff in other parks that I love doing. But in terms of Islands of Adventure, it's got probably 3 or 4 things that kind of tip the balance above a lot of other parks, in my opinion.
I'll go with
totally
that.
Agree.
Yeah, listen, I could call that. I like that.
Great choice.
And that leads us seamlessly on to question 2. So, tell us a ride that you hate.
Oh, a ride I hate.
And again, Orlando based, not just in your favourite park.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a tough one because I love Orlando. So there's not many things I like would pick out as really, really disliking. I think in terms of Disney like is a thumbs up for so many things. There is one ride that I think of immediately, and unfortunately it's not, well, fortunately for Disney, it's not in their bubble. And it's Fast and Furious Supercharged at Universal Studios. Yeah. The sad thing is, I love Fast and Furious. I've been a Fast and Furious fan since like the first film, and I will always go and watch the films at the cinema. I love it. But when that ride got launched, I was so excited to see what it would be, and it replaced 2 attractions. And then I went on it, and I just couldn't have been any more disappointed. If I'm absolutely honest,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it pains me to this day. It really does. It really
It's
does.
it's disappointing. I find the pre-show is better than the actual ride.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Like,
you get to walk by all these cars, and then you've got like
Yeah.
the interaction, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you go on the bus.
Yeah. It's like in fairness, like the actors, I think in the pre-show, I think are great. I think they engage well. They're quite funny. They're humorous. And then, like you said, you get on a bus. And
Yep.
I just can't help but think, was that the only way they could have gone? I'm sure it's
Well,
not.
it's
But
quite a big space, and it's sort of things they could do. But yeah, no, it's
yeah,
it's a real shame. But
yeah.
always room for improvement.
Something fast, I think. Surely that would have been number one when you got the whiteboard out on day one and went, "We're going to do a Fast and Furious ride." What's the one thing? It needs to be fast. Yeah, and no, never mind.
Okay, so question 3: what is your most overrated snack?
Most overrated snack. I hear a lot of people talk about it, and I'll be honest with you, I don't rate it that much. A Mickey Premium bar. And this is probably so controversial. Like, it's okay. It's okay. That's it for me. Yeah,
You'd be surprised how many times that's come up actually.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah,
I was going to say that, Ben,
it's
because
the overpriced chocos.
yeah,
yeah, literally that. And I appreciate as much as anything. It's for the Instagram picture. I think that's probably what it is. But I take the Mickey sandwich all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all day long. I take that over it.
Good call. Here we go. What's your favourite transportation mode? And usually we ask at Walt Disney World. I'm going to widen it to the whole of the greater Orlando area just because I can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is a proper answer, but I'm all about the hire car. Does that count as an answer?
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, I love having a hire car in Orlando. Like, genuinely, I think because I'm all about Orlando as much as anything, I think it opens up so many different opportunities and so many different activities that you can go and do outside of the parks, which is what I love about Orlando. Like, don't get me wrong, like the parks are the number one, but being able to go and do all of the additional stuff, I think is a struggle, or it's certainly a lot more difficult without having a hire car, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Our last trip was the first time we hired a car in like 10 or 11 trip.
Okay, nice.
And it was like, okay, we got to the airport and it was like, oh, this is different. I'm not getting on like the Magical Express to Disney or Mears, or it was like, or getting an Uber. It was like, okay, I'm going to be driving out of the airport, which was an experience of its own.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's a bit sketchy, that drive out the car park, isn't it?
Especially when it's like 10 o'clock at night, we're on a later flight.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, it was like the car was at the wrong terminal. So we had to all of that faff. And it was like, I'm now in a car that I've never driven before as we hired a Tesla.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I'm not just the wrong side of the car. Everything just felt different. And it was like, I just need to get to the resort. But once I got past that sort of first couple of hours of driving, the first couple of days, that was fine.
Yeah.
So much easier than driving in the UK.
I think as well for you, Russ, I think I might return to that part of the question later in the show as well, because I actually think a hire car particularly opens up so much more. And yeah, you probably do. You burst that little bubble that you're encapsulated in if you're purely on site at either Universal or at Disney. But it offers so much more. You know, I know for this summer in particular, a lot of people have tried to do the maths on it, and they've looked at the fact that the car hire prices were so high, probably way back in January when they were looking, and have basically said, well, we're not getting a car. And, you know, we're recording this very shortly before it goes out anyway. So it's maybe worth saying to people, if you are wanting to hire a car, I've actually had the price of a intermediate SUV half in price for 3 weeks in August in just the past 7 days. Yeah. So it's maybe worth it. If anyone's listening to this and you maybe shied away because the cost has been really prohibitive, it might be something, again, because of your answer, that we can maybe push people towards. Go and have a look. Go and see whether or not you can find any deals. But it's certainly a lot better than it was about a month ago. So.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. Yeah, good to know that it's becoming a bit more competitive again. Because I think, like you said, I definitely at a point, I think it almost priced people out of being able to do a hire car because it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
On top of parking and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Like, it can really.
We'd always work out. We'd always Uber, and it was like because there's only two of us, we didn't need a bigger car, so it was like okay, it's like we'll just work at the cost of an Uber, and it was like if it's less than car hire and parking, I might as well just get the Uber and just get it when I need to.
I actually wonder, Ben. I wonder if the car hire companies have actually caught wind of that now because actually there were so many people just getting Uber or Lyft or whatever, and it was much more affordable than actually having a car. And so people just haven't bothered. And so they're left with a load of cars that are in the garage and nobody's actually hiring them out. So, it can only be an advantage. It can only be an advantage for us going across there.
Definitely. So back to the question. So what is your favourite table service restaurant?
Ooh, that is tough.
There's so many to choose from.
Oh, I'm trying to even think. I'm trying to think of ones I've even been to as well, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't done many at all. Again, I'm gonna go out of Disney. I'm gonna go a bit different, and I'd go Mythos in Islands of Adventure. I'm sure there's probably not an answer you've had before, but I genuinely I really like it there. I think the aesthetic of it all. I think like kind of the ambience of it. And I think back in the day it was really, really hyped, but I think over the years the hype has died off a little bit, and I think it's a bit of a hidden gem as much as anything. Yeah, so that would be my one. I love a hidden gem. If you've heard my podcast, I love talking about hidden gems. So I think I'd go Mythos.
What a great call. I can virtually hear everyone. I can virtually hear everyone's keyboards rattling that into. Put it in my notes. Check it out. Must book it for the next time I'm there. Next question: what resort you haven't stayed in but want to more than anything else on Earth?
Oh, this the easiest one. Animal Kingdom Lodge. I watch so many vlogs. Genuinely, I'm a absolute content sponge. I love watching people's vlogs on YouTube, and genuinely, whenever someone's at Animal Kingdom, I am like, I really, really need to do this because it looks wonderful. The entrance, the whole like main foyer bit looks stunning, and just the whole thing to me looks absolutely magical. Have either of you done it? Both you done it?
I'm trying to think how many times. Because we've got DVC, Vacation Club. We've been able to stay there 3 or 4 times.
Nice.
And it's incredible. And last time we stayed, and it was the standard view we went for, and we put a request in for a room, and it was like it wasn't a standard view, it was just like on the end, but it was like you could see the savannah. And it was like we'd wake up in the morning, you just saw giraffes. It was incredible.
I think as well
that to me,
and a lot of the hotels are very much big on the smells, aren't they? Even the Universal ones as well, because I know that the Hard Rock Hotel has got the most amazing foyer smell. But there is something about Animal Kingdom Lodge, and I don't know whether it's the wood or what. I'm not sure. But when you walk into that hotel, it just has that feeling of you have to stand there and just go wow, and it is simply, and that big massive the glass window at the far end. And you just kind of you're just drawn out towards it. It's beautiful. Yeah. It really is. And I think I've said this not too many podcasts ago, but it's the whole fact that if you go at different points of the day, the lighting within that building is so different. So you find yourself having to go back just to stand and watch the same bit or take the same photograph because it's never the same as the day actually progresses. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful place.
The food there's incredible as well.
Mm.
You can't go wrong with like Chico, Sonar. It's just I just
Yeah.
want to be there now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've literally never been, so I haven't eaten there at
No.
all. And like,
No.
I've seen the restaurants look stunning as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is so high on the list of things I've got to
Yeah.
do. There's too many times that myself and my partner have priced it up and been like,
Yep.
we're close.
Yeah.
We're close.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd highly recommend if you've not been, and a way of going there, it's slightly cheaper is to rent DTC points.
Okay,
So you can
interesting.
rent them. You can rent them from an owner who's not using them that year, and
Right.
they're sort of heavily discounted versus what you pay rack rate to Disney.
Interesting. No, that's good to
So
know that.
yeah, it's not too bad. So we're staying at. We were going to be staying on a next year Pop Century for a couple of nights for a cruise,
Yeah.
but for the same price, we're staying at Old Key West because we're renting those points.
Wow.
So it's
There you
like,
go.
what was our
Yeah.
choice between Pop Century or Old Key West? I think I know which one. I'd rather.
Kind of no brainer.
Okay, so what is your favourite car park?
Favorite car park? I can't remember them that well. I'm gonna be honest with you. The one I can remember the most, and like this is so random, is Epcot, and the reason why is because quite a lot of the bays are Guardians of the Galaxy characters.
Yeah.
And I'm a massive Marvel fan. So if I were to go for anything, I'd probably go there. Based on that alone. And if it means I'm getting on Cosmic Rewind as well, then there you go.
It's incredible. Have you got all the songs on Cosmic Rewind?
I haven't. I've only done a couple. So yeah, there's a lot to do. Yeah. What's your favourite?
We've always had one way or another. We've had September.
Yeah.
Disco Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't got the rest.
Yeah.
So we still need to go back.
I'm not leaving in the summer until I've had a flock of seagulls with Iran. That's it. That's the only reason I'm going to Orlando. You know, I'm just going simply to hear a flock of seagulls, which would be even better.
Yeah, gotta do it. Yeah.
So next question. Here we go. Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard Beach, or Volcano Bay?
I'm a little bit biased because I've only ever been to one, if I'm honest with you. But I've only been to one through choice as well, and that is Volcano Bay. I absolutely love that park. I think it is a fabulous park from start to finish. I think entrance is lovely and like it's so calm and relaxing. And the moment you see the volcano, I think is stunning. I really, really do. Just all around it. I think the whole park aesthetically looks fantastic. And I think I've said it in a couple of podcasts of my own that the food options in Volcano Bay, I think are some of the best in Orlando. I really, really do. So that would get my vote all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised at that either. And I'm not only just from listening to a couple of your podcasts. I think a lot of people at the moment actually, if you get the universal ticket and it chucks in Volcano Bay, I think you feel compelled to actually go because of the whole scenario of you going to somewhere that looks just amazing, but the actual reviews of it are so good. But I still think Disney are missing a trick here by just having only the one water park open at a time. And I think that, you know, people, once you sow that little seed of doubt, you know, so if you're going with like a younger family and you're thinking, oh my word, we can't go to Typhoon Lagoon because it's Blizzard Beach's turn to be open, you suddenly decide, well, I'll tell you what, let's just take the Disney water park out of the equation. We'll go to Volcano Bay. We know it's good for the whole family. We know the reviews of it are really consistently good. And that's all it takes when people are planning a holiday, is if there's any element of doubt, they just don't do it. And then they'll go and do the one that they know that'll be more enjoyable. And again, like you said, with the presence of a really good food offering, you've actually got the makings of an absolutely brilliant day out, haven't you?
Yeah, fantastic. And I will also say that the Aqua Coaster being Krakatoa is genuinely is such a unique experience that I've shouted about that ride as much as I have like some of the big roller coasters that I love. I think it's fantastic. I really do.
Yeah, we've not ventured there yet, but I think just since it was open, we've had like the annual pass, but we always went for the 2-park one
Yeah,
instead of the 3. So it's like
Yeah.
maybe this time, because we've got a couple of days at Universal at the end of the trip, we might think about Volcano Bay.
yeah. No, I couldn't recommend it highly enough. I
And
really,
especially
really
when you've
did.
got it already included in your ticket, it's like I can fit a few hours in there at some point.
Yeah, and the thing is, I like the last time I went was in October, and I appreciate not many people go to a water park in October, but I was there, and it wasn't that busy. And realistically, we'd kind of been around, done the park, and done every slide and ride in there by probably 2:00 in the afternoon. So
Wow.
it wasn't hugely busy, which obviously with some of the Disney parks, you'll find that getting a park done top to bottom by 2:00 is unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still busy enough for it to feel like there was a nice atmosphere, not just kind of barren, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think as well, it's worth saying, if anyone hasn't experienced that whole thing of trying to go against the crowds in some ways, because Americans tend to only use water parks when it's really hot and when it's on the weekend. And if you're coming from the UK, you can actually make the best of like what we would deem as being a beautiful day in the UK.
Yeah.
In in October, and yet the Americans just, they'd probably have the winter coat on or something like that, and we'd be there with the speedos on, and sort of absolutely ready, thinking, oh, it's a lovely day to be lying out in the sun,
Yeah, it's somewhere
we've
near
been in
mid-20s.
November. We've been in November, and we've been to Blizzard Beach, and it's like it's a lot quieter here than I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I know where you're going to go with the next one. But,
Okay.
Galaxy's Edge or Diagon Alley?
Oh, I tell you what, this is so tough because
Yeah.
I was a huge Harry Potter fan growing up. I like massive, but I'm currently a huge Star Wars fan. If I'm absolutely honest, I've got to go Diagon Alley.
Yeah,
because for me, there's a few reasons. Like I love Harry Potter films. I like it looks absolutely stunning. I love the fact that it's out of the film, whereas Galaxy's Edge and Batuu is kind of it's not necessarily from the films. It's kind of a fictional land set in the same world, isn't it? So
it's like a
I
trade
love
port between different.
exactly that. So I love the fact that Diagon Alley is literally as you see it in the films. I love the ride in there, Escape from Gringotts. The shops I think are fantastic, but also in terms of like my previous memories as well, it's one of the main things that like I was most excited to go back to Orlando for when I was quite a lot younger. So it was, it'll always hold a special place for me.
Yeah, and that fits nicely in the next question. So, is it an early morning or a late night park visit?
Oh, if you've listened to my podcast, you'll probably know. I'm a rope drop person. However, if I'm to be in a park and it be my favorite time, it's at night. It doesn't matter what park it is. I think doing rides in the dark, like I appreciate like the Disney ones not as much because not as many of them are outside. But I think of like Velocicoaster in Islands of Adventure. I think of Hagrid's, and those two rides in the dark opposed to in the daytime. It's like, for me, it's chalk and cheese. I think they're amazing rides in the day. I think they're an absolute different level at night.
It's just something different experience you get. And I remember, as we always say, Big Thunder Mountain, especially if it's dark and you're sitting at the back, it's a totally different coaster to what it is during the day, where if it was so much more tame.
I remember
being on Splash Mountain before it closed, that it was our last ride on it was in the dark. It was like, I think, New Year's Eve, and it was like going on that, and it was incredible. Just going over and seeing fireworks on that drop.
Oh, I bet that was stunning. Wow.
But so moving on to the next one. So are you a keep the magic or backstage detail person?
Oh, I reckon I'm probably backstage detail. I'm
Yeah.
I love knowing how stuff's done. I love a breakdown video, like, and I appreciate not kind of the same thing, but I love how like rides are made. I love how, like, I love finding out how the magic's done. I really, really do. Again, like I said, not necessarily the same thing, but when it comes to like films and stuff, I'm obviously big into my films, hence the love for kind of Disney and Universal.
Yeah.
And I spend hours watching breakdown videos of like shows and films and stuff like that. So if I can find out any little nuggets, I'm there.
No, I agree. I can't watch a Marvel TV show or film without watching like New Rock Stars or someone breaking it down scene by scene, missing all these Easter eggs.
It's got to be a New Rock Stars, and if you can get Eric Voss on New Rock Stars, I mean that's the one. Yeah, you know it.
Oh, cool. There you go. I get sidetracked. When we start going through all this, and I start thinking, oh, I go back to the very first one of these we did, and I still think I gave the wrong answer. So I always kick myself when it gets to that one. Go on, tell us what's your favourite other podcast or vlogger about Disney, Universal, or the Greater Orlando area?
Whoa. It's a tough one because if any of my listeners, any of my other guests,
you could alienate somebody, couldn't you?
Literally. Yeah. Oh, I could upset everyone.
Right. Well, don't say anyone then. That's even better.
I'm not a sit on the fence guy. We'll be all right. I think it's no secret. I think, to be fair, like in terms of my favorite vloggers at the moment, there's a channel called T&J Travels. That's Tom and Jess. They've been on my podcast as a guest. I would say I'm good friends with Tom. I get on with him well. Like, we have good chats about Orlando and other stuff beyond that. And genuinely, as vlogs go, I think they've been going for just over a year, and like genuinely some of the best vlogs out there for British YouTubers. I think spot on. But I mean, there's so many. Obviously, I've got guests lined up, if I'm actually honest with you, and I don't want to upset all of them.
No, I know exactly how you feel. Yeah. It's like, I remember when we did our first times, we all kept thinking, oh, maybe at the time it was like Tim Tracker, because that was what everyone was watching at the time, and everyone goes through all this thing, and it's like, I remember during sort of the pandemic, there was like, we needed any sort of content from the parks that you could get, so it was like whatever was on there, and it's like, and you just gravitate, you just find, you don't realize until you start watching and start listening how big the Disney community is.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I've watched so many over the years. Like you said, the original was Tim Tracker. It started there, but I've, not to just name drop loads of people, but I've there's channels such as Get Binky. I don't know if you've watched them on YouTube. And two lovely people. Spoonful of Sugar, another lovely couple. And then there's so many new ones coming through as well, and everyone's doing different content as well, which I love.
I think we're talking to Gaz and Ange from the Kershaws next week.
Oh, amazing!
On their mega trip through Asia, so I really can't wait to talk to them about that, because that's definitely on our bucket list.
Yeah,
even to visit one of the Asian parks.
I tell you what, Ben, you might need to put a spoiler alert in there, just simply because you're giving away who's in next month's mid-month podcast and things like that.
It's an excuse for someone to subscribe.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I think I know where you're going to go with this next one, but for your hotel stay, are you on-site or off-site?
Okay, so this, if given a choice, I would go on site. However, I've stayed off site every time. I've never done on site, and the reason why, the sad reason why, unfortunately, it comes to price. Yeah. I've talked about this in, I think it was last week's episode, and ultimately, I've basically said that if I can go to Orlando as often as possible, then I'm going to do it, and if that means sacrificing where I stay, then I'm going to probably sacrifice that first if it means I get to go to all the parks I want to go to.
Yeah.
So that is my answer. So in terms of what I want to do is obviously on site. absolutely. Like I said in the previous questions, Animal Kingdom Lodge is the dream. And there's so many which I want to do as well. Like to be honest, there's more Disney ones I want to do than Universal. But obviously when the time comes, then I will do them. But until then, ultimately I'll stay off site if it means getting to Orlando as frequently as I can.
We've done them more recently where we've looked at we've run out of points for this year on. It's like we've already had a trip. It's like, can we squeeze another one in, but we'll stay at Pop or we'll stay at All Star Music or just somewhere if we can make that trip happen. We just look at it and go like, actually, we've got it. Let's just do that. If you can do it and make it work. It's always the hotel you compromise on because it's like you can't do anything about the tickets. They are what they are.
Yeah,
but you just work out what.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think for myself, like I said, I'm a rope drop kind of guy. I'm a rope drop guy, and I'll try and stay to the end in a park if possible. So I spend very little time in a resort, if I'm absolutely honest. That's not to say like if I was in Animal Kingdom Lodge, then I would probably want to spend more time in there because it's fabulous, and I want to be in the surroundings and the atmosphere of it. But I can't think of many times that I've spent a lot of time in a resort other than to kind of go back and go to bed.
That sounds absolutely perfect. We're gonna finish this grilling of the Carousel of Questions with the mandatory one where it sets all of us infighting again. So it's Festival of Lion King or Finding Nemo the musical. Which is your go-to of the two?
Lion King. Yeah, no, for me, not even a question. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I love it. I absolutely love it. And just everything about it is special. It really is. I'm sure so many people have said the same thing. But I love it so much.
It is always our perfect question because I remember I think the first time we pulled it up after a few weeks, it was like the 8 of us were completely split.
Yeah.
It was even completely. And every time we spoke to someone else, it was either Lion King one way, Nemo the other.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't think it's ever gone more than one side or the other.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's that Marmite, question, isn't it? It's just like...
It is. It's probably good for the crowds though. If it's splitting everyone evenly, it's great for the park because then half people are going to Lion King, half people are going to Nemo.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, they were some really great answers.
Certainly were.
And now we know a little bit more about it. I think let's sort of go into the main topic. So we're going to talk about all things Orlando. So from Disney, Universal, and everything in between. Whether it's the latest attractions, hidden gems, and tips for making you visit, we've got it covered. But there's always something new happening in Orlando. And I know there's going to be a lot of people listening that are already planning trips for next year. Because I know at Universal there's going to be a brand new park opening.
Yeah,
Epic Universe.
Yeah,
so
very.
Are you excited? Are you excited about it?
Very excited. I'm one of those people who is eagerly awaiting the opening date for that park to then book my trip for next year. I'm so tempted to just book it now. But I don't know when it's going to open, so I don't want to bolt too early.
Because the on-site hotels are opening like it was January and February.
Yeah,
so,
and again they look stunning.
Yeah, and they're not the same price. The prime value, I think they call them. You've got the value resorts, which are Endless Summer and Dockside, and then you've got prime value, which is like the Cabana Bay and sort of Terra Luna, I think it's called. Terra Nova. I can never remember the name.
Yeah, that's the new one. The one with the like oval shaped windows, multicolored facade kind of thing. Yeah.
Looks amazing. It's like we're planning a trip for next September, but I keep looking on the prices like, do I book it now or do I think like just when do I change when we're going next year? To just try and because I don't want to be there when it opens because it's going to be so busy.
Exactly. You want to go a few months after.
Yeah, once they've worked at some of the kinks, because it's like new rides. Sometimes if it's like what happened a few years ago with Hagrid's, there was a lot of downtime when it opened and a lot more challenges. So I don't know. I'm really looking forward to
I mean, I also like in terms of crowd levels. I actually, funnily enough, I was at Islands of Adventure the day that Hagrid's opened, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
if you've ever heard me say this story. I was so excited. Obviously, I've waited for it for years, and I was like, right, gonna get down to the park. And if you know Islands of Adventure well, it was queued from Hagrid's, in the queue of Hagrid's, all the way back through Marvel Superhero Island.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't ride it that day, funnily enough. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it.
That's
I'd
incredible.
never seen anything like it, and I kept checking the app through the day, and it was just saying like 8, 9, 10 hours. I'm like, who is doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some diehard Harry Potter fans right there. Fair enough.
I think,
I'd love to be there for the experience, and I'd love to ride it.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Ends up being a 10-hour queue in Florida. Whatever.
no, exactly that. Yeah, no, that's yeah. I obviously I was disappointed, but at the same time I was like, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do that.
Yeah.
No.
Can I widen that a little bit more, Russ? Because I'm aware that you tend to go between the Disney and the Universal parks seamlessly. I'll say it that way.
Yeah,
This question's going to come up a lot more in the next 12 months, and you're going to be the first person I'm going to ask, but I'm probably going to ask it to an awful lot of people. Do you
no
think?
pressure.
No. Because I think it's the type of question that everyone's going to be asking. Because do you think Disney are being asleep at the wheel, whilst Universal are planning and have actually got this new park built, and are they going to steal an awful lot of custom from Disney? Because from my perspective, it seems to be that bit beyond where we were with Harry Potter, where Universal had maybe 2-3 years where they stole a march on Disney, and they certainly did, because actually they got people into a park that was just way beyond what was seen previously. But this is different level. They've got the water park, they've got 2 existing parks, and now with Epic Universe, they've actually got what could be a whole vacation's worth of park entry, and you would just push the Disney ticket to one side and say, we'll give it a miss this time.
Yeah, I think you're right, because ultimately there are people who will go out and do a Disney only trip like that. That I think is a given, but I don't know that many people who would just go and do a Universal only trip, because I think realistically for the 3 parks there are, I personally I don't see how you would fill 2 weeks. I don't think you could. Whereas in Walt Disney World, I think you could easily fill 2 weeks, for example. So I do think, absolutely. I think with Epic Universe, I think that they're absolutely like they're a couple of years ahead in terms of where Disney are at, and I think Disney are reacting a little bit. I think they're reacting with Test Track. I think they're reacting with the closure of Dinosaur to potentially be something else, but we don't know. And then obviously
I think the Indiana Jones, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
but the thing is, what's frustrating about that is it's the same ride system that's in Disneyland.
Yeah,
so it's like something you could probably do in a couple of months, 6 months, a year. Where instead of actually, whether you look at Universal and Epic Universe, it's a brand new ride. These aren't rides that are in other areas, in other Universal parks.
I think
Disney have got so much of a catalogue of different rides and different attractions. How long did it take them to bring Tron over?
Don't mention Tron, Ben. I think the minute everyone hears that, and everyone's like, "Oh no,
no."
We've got 6 years.
How not to do it?
Yeah. I think I really think, and I've had this conversation with a few people. I think ultimately Disney have to react quickly, but they also have to react with something big when it comes to like whatever announcement they'll come out with at D23. I think they've really got to build an excitement. Don't get me wrong, whatever they've added to the parks in previous years, I think has been absolutely brilliant. Like even down to like the Moana Journey of Water, I think it's fabulous. But I think, but that's little additions that they're making. I think they need to really kind of go Galaxy's Edge kind of big addition to combat what Universal are doing currently. I think Universal, with their last couple of rides, at least in terms of like Velocicoaster and Hagrid's, have smashed out the park. And I think if you're a thrill seeker, you're going to go to Islands of Adventure or the Universal Resort, I think, at the moment. And, you know, Disney are clever, don't be wrong. Like, they've been so clever with where they've put Guardians of the Galaxy. They've been so clever with kind of putting Galaxy's Edge into Hollywood Studios. I think they need another big one, in my opinion.
There's a lot of space at Hollywood Studios left, like when
Yeah.
Star Wars Launch Bay and the animation area, courtyard, and up to like Lightning McQueen that really needs something.
Yeah. I just, but you know, it's what do they do? I think in a dream world they would bring Marvel, but we know the situation with that. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen in Orlando, at least not anytime soon. At least without Disney opening the checkbook and offering a Universal an awful lot of money.
Exactly,
I think.
Yeah. You can feel the pain already. Even just saying that, you can feel the pain that Disney would feel by actually doing that. So
having to pay to basically put the thing they own in their own park feels absurd.
Yeah.
But you know, I love them both, and like there's only one winner, and it's us. The fact that we get to go and experience
very much so,
you know, Epic Universe, and then we get to experience whatever Disney counteract Epic Universe with. So we keep going, and it's fantastic.
That's what I like. I love that competition between both, and they both need to just push each other on, because at the end of the day, we just win with better attractions, better experiences, and always other reason to go back to Orlando.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's with Epic Universe, it's going to change, because even we've thought about it. But normally, when we go to Universal on a 2-week trip, we'd probably put in at least 2, maybe 2.5 days in for Universal to get all the stuff that we want done. But with Epic Universe, we're going to probably add a stay on site at Universal and probably do 4 to 5 days there.
Yeah, I think
it's taken those few extra days from Disney that we've done a lot of rides over the years.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to doing things like Tiana's Bio Adventure at Disney, but I don't know what else is going to be new out for next year. I think we've got to that point now where Disney haven't announced anything else. Because I remember when we look back to when we started the show 5 years ago, when we had that first D23, where it spoke about the Epcot transformation, Spaceship Earth having its refurb, the Mary Poppins attraction, all the stuff that actually hasn't come out of that. We're still waiting on this festival centre being built, which still isn't open.
Yeah.
They've got to react, and I think I think D23 as a whole this year will be huge for Disney as a company, because I think, like, even outside of the parks, I think I'm a big Marvel fan. With Marvel as well, they've got to kind of hit big on that.
I think as well, I think one of the worst things that they can actually do is turn up for D23 this year and just go through that same blue sky thinking malarkey, because the only way you can describe it, it's not blue sky thinking, it's just like filling in a presentation where you've got no idea what you're going to do and what you're actually going to, you know, there's no hard and fast reality to it. It's just like, oh well, we might do this, we could do this, and actually I think everybody's looking for a little bit more now, and it kind of ups the ante a little bit, and I like that. I like it.
I think even if they put a date in, so say like Villains Land or Beyond Big Thunder Mountain is done by 2028 or 2030, at least it's something people go, actually, but it's fine. You've got a date, you know what it's going to work to. Because I remember when they announced Galaxy's Edge in Hollywood Studios and Toy Story Land, it was 2018, 2019 when they announced that 3 years before. So it's like we're used to being told what's happening in a few years. We've got to that point now. It's like we've been told the past 2 years of D23 that it's just going to be like, well, we're not sure when it's going to happen, but we're thinking of this.
Yeah.
The other thing I will say, that, you know, not taking a corner, but Universal, they announce it and they do it.
Yeah.
And then when they do it, they do it in such quick time. I think of like Velocicoaster. That thing went from like flat on the ground to up in the air in, I think, less than a year.
Yeah.
Which is absurd.
They hadn't announced it, I think, before, and everyone kept saying like, well, what are you building here? And it was there was nothing being built, and it was just all of that.
Yeah.
That all that construction happening, and it's like, and it was like, yep, here it is, it's open, and it was like 6 months later, and it was done.
Yep. Bam.
It was after that point. Done. It was like,
I think Disney they could take a leaf on that side of things out of Universal's book. I think
Yeah.
just kind of, there's no reason, Disney are ginormous
Yeah.
of a company that they can come up with the plan and they can commit and do it in record breaking time. I don't think there's any doubt.
I think you're going to have to. That's the only way I see it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly that.
So as we mentioned earlier about sort of hire car, is that would you say is the best place for someone for their first trip to get around Orlando?
I would say so. I appreciate that it can be nerve wracking. I think just driving in a different country at times can be nerve wracking. But once you, like you said, Ben, once you kind of get out on the road and you've been out there for an hour, a couple or 2 hours, it just becomes normal. It's easy. And I genuinely think that in terms of being able to see Orlando, having the hire car just gives you so much more option. It gives you so much more choice. There's so much to see in Orlando that a lot of us haven't done. Like I actively try to go out and do different stuff in Orlando, and there's so much I haven't done. So I really do recommend having it. And I think for going out to Orlando for your first time, I think for me, I would try to do a bit of everything. I'd try to do Disney, Universal, and a little bit kind of outside as well.
It's a good idea because I remember for our first trip, it was like we booked a package, I think with Virgin Holidays for a honeymoon. So it was like, okay, we booked it, and it was like, at the point I think if to hire a car because of the age, it was an extra £500 for insurance. So it's like we decided not to, but we were staying at SeaWorld, so we stayed on International Drive a lot, and we used the iTrolley to get out and about, and that was before Ubers were out, so we were using the hotel shuttles, which meant that you got to the parks after rope drop, and like you were back at the hotel before fireworks. It just didn't work out, and then we realised that on our next trip after that, it's like, oh, the parks stay open later. And it was just something we hadn't thought about until we realised that actually we used Ubers in 2014. I think we're one of the first people, I think, to use them.
Yeah,
it felt like it because no one knew about them, and it was just incredible. Just like on your phone, a car would appear, and we got so used to that. And then hiring a car last year was incredible. It was just the first time that the price. I think during COVID, a lot of the car hire sort of cars got sold off from car hire companies. And it was like made the price go up for when everyone wanted to hire them. And it was just it was the first time I thought, actually, let's see if we can hire a car. And it turned out to be the Tesla was the cheapest.
Yeah, I mean, that's a result. I mean, obviously, nice to have out there.
But the downside is when you get back home, you want to drive a Tesla.
Yeah,
a hybrid doesn't really cut it.
Yeah, I sadly on my last trip. I mean, I say sadly, I was so lucky to end up with a Jeep Grand Wagoneer, which is genuinely the biggest car I've ever driven. It was ginormous. The armrest was as big as a seat in the front. And like it was massive. And then I came back and get in the Ford Focus. And it's not quite the same, is it?
Wow. It's bizarre, isn't it? You just like you feel it's one of them things when you get to the garage and you're just like, ooh, is this one mine? And you're just like, you just dream of driving like cars that you wouldn't even think about being able to drive at home and stuff like that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick you up on something you said before when you said about doing sort of Orlando stuff that is out with the parks and stuff like that. For anyone listening, go on, I know you're big into your hidden gems and things like that. So what would your recommendation be to not miss out if you take the big parks out of it, right? We're not doing Disney, Universal, SeaWorld. We're going to have a different day. What would your recommendation be?
There's a few things I love doing. My top thing, if I were to recommend to anyone to go and do, is to go and do an airboat ride. I don't know if either of you've done it. I love it. You basically kind of go out over the lakes and the swamps on this airboat, and you get a guide, and he'll talk you through the wildlife, and you might get lucky and see some alligators, and you'll probably see like all sorts of different birds and animals, and I love it. I think just being able to kind of be out in Orlando is fantastic. I love doing it. I've done it. I think I've done it 5 times.
Oh wow.
So I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, too right.
That sounds like proper Orlando as well.
Yeah.
It's not what you think for your first thing to go and do, is it? It's
Yeah, and I think like having the guide there and having someone who's obviously like kind of more often than not they're kind of born and raised Floridians, so they know this place like the back of their hand. It's amazing that you'll be
Yeah.
on this airboat going through all the big reeds, and it's kind of like you're thinking this isn't a route, but he knows the route through all of it and kind of knows exactly where he's going, and he might go and search out a spot that he knows where there's typically alligators sleeping and stuff like that. Honestly, I think it's stunning. It's a really good experience.
gonna have to have.
I
that
know.
to
I was
Yeah.
thinking that as well. There we go. Just write that one down. There
Yeah.
we go.
It's a good one. If I was to give you another one as
Yeah.
well, I don't know if you've done it. I would absolutely recommend going to Kennedy Space Center. I
Yeah.
appreciate it's a bit more of a drive and it's kind of out of kind of Orlando necessarily. But I think it's worth the trip down there.
Yeah.
I think it's a fabulous day out. I've been lucky enough to go and see a shuttle launch from there, which was something special.
Yeah.
It really was. And have either of you done it?
Yeah, I've been a couple of
Not
times.
yet.
It's just
No.
it's the actual. You know when you've watched it on TV for so long, and you actually you think, oh, that's beautiful, this, that, and the other. But the actual enormity of that whole
the
place,
scale,
and you're just like, oh my word, you're just like you're completely in awe of the old space shuttle construction building and things like that, where they would have it on a sort of it sit upright. You just can't comprehend the size of that. The facility is just amazing, and actually, I think the way that they've done it, and if you go right to the very front of the actual place itself, there's got a memorial wall where it celebrates the lives of astronauts who have lost their lives in space, and that for me was really quite a poignant part of going.
Yeah, it's quite moving. It really is. Yeah.
But it is a really good place to go, and a lot of people are put off primarily because of the amount of time it takes to go out to the coast. It's a really easy drive. So
completely agree.
Don't let that put you off. It's a great place if there's a group of you, or if you've got kids with you. It just changes the vibe of the whole trip, because you're actually going and you're seeing maybe something that appeals more to other people. And I would always recommend that. That's a really good one to bring up. I think great idea.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Ben, I'd recommend get on the list.
It's been on the list, but obviously the last time was the only time we had a car. So,
fair enough.
So, and it's annoying this time we're not going to do it, because it's like we're going on a Disney cruise. It's like we thought about it, we could have stopped off on the way or done it on the way back. But might see if there's room. Room in the itinerary.
But that's it.
I feel like I need to extend our trip already. You always need to have something to go back to next time, though. I think that's the thing we've learned. The thing we've all booked the first trip and gone, it's a once in a lifetime. And then you realise, okay, I want that feeling back again, being out in that Florida weather. I want to just be able to walk into Magic Kingdom. I want to be able to just just explore the area and just go, I couldn't fit it in the 2 weeks. You're never going to be able to fit in a 2 or 3 or... John, how long's your longest trip then?
Oh, we went for 5 weeks one time.
Wow.
Which was absolutely incredible. And did you get bored being away for 5 weeks? No, not for a minute.
Nope.
and that so that answers everyone's question. Is like, does it feel really weird?
Yeah.
Does it take away from the magic? It didn't alter the magic whatsoever. It didn't matter what we did. We went to the beach. We went to, I think that was the trip where we went to Clearwater, but we also went to Anna Maria Island. We've also done St. Augustine up on the east coast up towards Jacksonville. You go and you travel and you just take what Florida has, and because every single bit of it is absolutely beautiful. And when you want to come home, you still don't want to come back. And that's the worst. That's the worst thing of the whole lot. It's
yeah. Oh, stunning! I bet that was fantastic. Fantastic. What's the longest trip you done, Ben? Sorry to hijack your
No,
episode.
no, oh,
Well,
I'm in podcast zone.
I'm thinking it probably is. I think because of work and stuff, it's probably been 17 nights.
Nice. Yeah, still a long
Um,
time though. Yeah, fantastic.
It's still nice. It's just like I might be 17 or 18, and it's like you get back and it's like I don't want to go back to work.
Yeah.
It's like no, and then it's like I think we've just learned that trick. It's like we need to at least have a plan of when we want to go back.
Yeah.
And
The Disney blues is a thing. It really is.
Too right.
Genuinely.
Yeah, and it's like we went last October, and it was incredible. It was just a last minute trip, and it was like it would call it a budget trip, and it really was. It was like we stayed at All Star Sports. That's when we got the Tesla, and it was like we had annual passes that were due to expire a week or two later. So it was a last minute sort of booking trip for everything, and it was like, and when we're out there, it was our 11-month opening for us to book our resort for this September. So it was like before we'd even left, we'd already booked the next trip.
That's how you want it. I've got to say that.
Yeah,
I remember it. We were in Animal Kingdom on like one of our last, I think might have been our last morning there, and it was like I got my phone out and it was like, okay, availability for Saratoga Springs. There we go. It's booked. It's done. We now know where we're staying next September. It's just
perfect. That's the way to do it.
It is, and it's like now we've got Disney Cruise to go along with it.
Yeah,
which we can't wait.
Oh,
we had a Disney Cruise booked in 2020, obviously because of COVID and stuff. We ended up going on the UK staycation one, which was stuck in the UK for a few months. We went on that one for 3 nights, and then we got the cruising bug, and it's like we need to go back on a cruise.
Yeah,
so we're going to make most of that this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when's your next trip then, Russ?
At the moment,
is it still sort of in design stages?
I don't know, and the reason why is because of Epic. I went in October, and I've got a couple of non-Orlando trips booked this year that were kind of like in the pipeline and already done. So we're waiting on Epic. As soon as Epic gets announced, then I book it. Is as simple as that. Yeah. If Epic basically ends up getting announced for later in the year, I think we'll end up booking for first half of the year. And I think I'm not sure I can wait that long. So I think it'll be coming sooner than later.
Yeah. It's interesting because the hotels are opening. I'm going to guess they're going to be open about 3 months before.
Yeah.
That's my guess. So I reckon that it's going to open for like Memorial Day weekend. So like May.
Yeah. I think that seems to be the general
just before their summer holidays.
Yeah. So that's the plan at the moment. I mean, obviously, as we know, like these things change quick, and given an opportunity to go, I'll be booking it pretty quick.
And that's the thing. You just keep your eye out for whatever deals are about. It's whether you use a travel agent, whether you just look on. Like some of us do regularly, have Skyscanner open on their laptop and just see if there's a cheap flight at some time. Then you just think like, I've got some annual leave to use. It's like, can I do it? This year's different for us because we're not doing the parks, as in all the parks. We're just doing Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is the only park, and then we've got Universal at the end. Universal at the end of 2 nights. That's for 1 night, but we're doing 2 days.
Yeah.
But first time we're staying at Royal Pacific.
Oh, fantastic!
So making use of the express passes.
Yeah, no, definitely. That'll be a great experience. I've no doubt in my mind.
I'm not sure whether we've worked it out yet that we're not going to be doing Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, or Epcot. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, it might sink in when you're there. It might just but yeah, it is what it is. It is, and that's the thing with an Orlando trip. Every single trip's a bit different, and for good as well. Like just doing different stuff. I'm all for it.
I think it's the things if you do the same thing every trip, sometimes it can be a bit monotonous. Probably excluding Cosmic Rewind. But there are probably some things if I'm doing the same thing over and over again, it's like in the same order. It's like I need to do something different each year, or stay somewhere different, find somewhere else to eat. And having a car, it's a great place to eat off site.
Yeah,
we've found so many other restaurants, so many places, and save so much more money by just going eating off site than always eating in the parks.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of eating off site as well. I will be honest. I do enjoy a little Orlando eat. I've done an episode on best Orlando eats, and there's quite a few of my favourites out there that I've recommended to a lot of people.
No, I was going to say as well. You mentioned about being off-site, Russ. When you stay, is that in a villa, or do you go for off-site hotels or motels? Or
I've done both.
Yeah.
So my previous trip, it was myself and my partner. I went with my parents for the first time in years, and then my brother came as well. And we basically got like a 3-story apartment.
Yeah.
It was in a place called Vista K Resort. So it was an Airbnb setup basically.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, you come out of the site, and it was opposite where the Stella Nova, the Epic Universe Hotel was.
Oh,
So
wow.
literally, I got to see that every day coming down that road. Yeah. So I've done that on my most previous trip, but then I've done international drive a number of times, and then I've also done. There was one down the other end of international drive. I think it was a Sheraton one. I can't remember what it was, but I went with a group of 4 of us, and we did it was kind of a bit more of a villa setup. So I've done various different things down kind of in and around kind of Universal Boulevard, International Drive kind of area. I mean, over the years, years ago when I was younger, we stayed at Champions Gate, which I think is a little bit further out. It was a lovely place.
Yeah.
I think I'd appreciate it an awful lot more now I'm a little bit older, I'll be honest. Fabulous place. So that's what I've done. But I mean, again, I think in terms of preference, I've held no preference to either. Ultimately, if it means I get to go out there, I'll go to whichever place that gets
possible.
me.
Yeah, I think that's
true.
exactly it, isn't it? Yeah, I think the only thing I draw the line at is camping. That's about it.
I'm with you. Yeah, no camping.
No, just purely on the mosquito front, and that's
I think the
about
closest
it.
to camping I would get is the cabins and
I could do that.
They look really nice.
Do that.
Do
It's
those.
just like I'd have this thing. I'd just get eaten alive.
Yeah, no,
not do that.
That wouldn't be too fun.
No, it wouldn't.
It's especially just when you think just like the sort of Orlando and Florida wildlife.
Yeah,
Like,
that doesn't bear
Yeah.
Let's not even go there. That just the thought of an alligator.
Yeah. If I can't
really
see it,
not-
yeah. Well, you can't see won't hurt you, but the moment I see it, I'm not quite as keen.
yeah, you see it, and then that's all you can think about
And if you
for the rest of your trip.
and if your off lights up in a hotel, that's fine. And if you're in a villa, you've got the lanai out the back as well. Keep
Yeah.
protected. That's it.
I think that's the reason Becca only likes to. Whenever we check into a Disney hotel, she doesn't like when we've got a balcony. She doesn't like being on the ground floor, so we have to ask for higher up. I wonder whether that's
It might be right.
It's a good shout as well. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Also, it's nice if you've got a balcony, you want to look out. You don't want. There are some of the resorts that we've stayed at, whereas if you're on the ground floor, you just see everyone walking in the mornings to go get the refillable mugs.
Yeah.
And everyone's gone off for breakfast. It's like, do you want that? If you've got all the curtains open in the morning, not what you want to see every morning.
No, indeed.
No.
Oh, brilliant.
So I'm going to ask you one more question, really, just purely out of nosiness, because we've just celebrated our 5th anniversary as a podcast. You've started this Orlando Adventures podcast. Why? Why do you even have that bit where you suddenly one day wake up and say, I'm going to turn all my travels and I'm going to share them and I'm going to put them out there for everyone to listen to? What was it? Where did you start from?
Great question. It's a great question. Ultimately, I love Orlando. I mean, that's quite clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I said, I consume a lot of Orlando and Disney and Universal content. I love seeing it on Instagram. I love seeing it on YouTube. So I spend a lot of my time doing it. And obviously I'll do anything I can to get out there on holiday. And I think ultimately over the years, I've looked for Orlando based podcasts. And obviously there's Universal and there's Disney, which, you know, is perfect. And I listen to them. But I couldn't necessarily find one which was Orlando. I kind of like that was kind of going a bit further and not just trying to stay in the bubbles of the parks. So I kind of just went from there and went, you know what? Maybe I just make it. maybe I just make the podcast. And as much as anything, I wanted to make a platform for all of these content creators that I see and I enjoy consuming their content. I wanted to create a platform to have them come on as guests and speak to them and hear about their experiences. And that's kind of what it's come from. Ultimately, I love talking about it. So I figured, why not talk about it every week? If I could talk about it every week, I mean, obviously I do my podcast on my own, and I managed to sit here for an hour and talk about Orlando on my own. So the moment I get guests, I'm off.
Yeah. I think we've had shows. I think we had to cut down our 5th birthday show because it was 2.5 hours long.
Oh my god!
So we've decided to split it weekly for all throughout June, just because it was just it was amazing to look back at all the stuff.
I bet it was
over the last 5 years.
And genuinely, I would say like a testament to your channel as well. Like you've been going for 5 years and you put out such informative information and like hearing different guests and hearing what you've all been doing on your trips, like absolutely fantastic. I honestly can't hold my hands up and say how good a job you're doing enough. Really.
Oh, thanks, Russ. Nobody ever tells us that. Like, we're really self-critical and things like that. I think we just open the computer up and we just between all of us, we do what we've done for this show and we just talk about a place that we love going. And I think that certainly comes across in your content. And I would say that, and it's having that passion for a place where you kind of lose yourself for however, it doesn't matter if you go for 5 days, 5 weeks, it doesn't matter. You actually have that shut off time where you just go and just soak it all up and you come back and you want to go back again. And that really comes across loud and clear in what you're creating. And I think that's certainly something I know is very close to our heart as a podcast and even as a YouTube show on a Wednesday, where we talk about all kinds of stuff, but it's that it's that passion and that I think I've said this to the rest of the team is the fact that actually I enjoy just having that shared bit with other people, but also with our group. And if nobody else actually listened to it or watched it, I'd still be talking about it anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly that. Like ultimately. The same with yours. You can tell that you enjoy this. You wouldn't do this unless you loved it, and that's what Orlando's all about. And I think just the passion that all of you have for it, and myself as well, and being able to share that with other people and share their experiences. I think it really is a special place. I really do think so.
Yeah.
I think we've all experienced that person you've spoken to, maybe at work or someone you've gone that rolls their eyes at you, like, are you going to Orlando again? And it's like they don't get it.
They don't get it.
Go, and it's like,
my mum still says that to me now. You going there again?
I'm still trying to get my partner around as well at times. Sometimes she's like, can't we go somewhere else? And I'm like, how about Orlando?
The best thing is like, how about we go to Mexico, the UK, we can go to France, all in one day. Like, that sort of works. But no.
Oh, I love that.
we did it all inclusive in Gran Canaria a couple of years ago, and it was nice. But then as soon as we got off that holiday, we were back on the plane. It was like, I'm looking up flights, and they're like, I need a bit of Orlando. I need a bit of Universal. It's just something different. It was a lovely holiday. I'm not going to say anything bad about Gran Canaria. It was incredible. It was what was needed, but sometimes you just miss a bit of that magic.
Yeah. I completely agree. Hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, you miss that bit of magic, and I think that's why we all do what we're doing at the moment. We're just talking about a place that we all love.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and that just about wraps up our show for today. So huge thanks to Russ from Orlando Adventures Podcast for joining. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Like, genuinely, I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it. And I love your podcast and the content you're putting out. I think, like, what a wonderful group of people. You're obviously, like, genuinely lovely people. And I've got a lot of time for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Before we end the show, Russ, can you let our audience know where they can find you on sort of your socials and, most importantly, your podcast?
Yep. So Orlando Adventures podcast on Instagram, and then I have Orlando Adventures podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music as well.
Brilliant. So don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It really does help out, sort of, especially with the podcast algorithm. And if you're watching us on YouTube, if you've enjoyed today's show, hit the like button. And also, if you want even more of this waffle, just click the subscribe too. So we're on social media at GB Mickey Waffle. So it's to stay up to date on all things more. We're on like Instagram, Threads, TikTok. I think there's too many to count now. But until next time, keep waffling on. And there's just one thing left to say.
We'll
see you real soon.
see you real soon.
Now my